DeJesus on the track.
Got her. We about to break through. We about to break through. Tell the enemy they can't stop us now, man. We breaking through. Yeah, we broke through. Yeah, we broke through. Tell the enemy they can't stop us now, man. We breaking through. We about to break through. We about to break through. Tell the enemy they can't stop us now, man. We breaking through. Yeah, we broke through. Yeah, we broke through. Tell the enemy they can't stop us now, man. We breaking through.
We are back with another episode on The Breakthrough. I'm your host, Sophina the Diva.
And I am your host, BilionAir Carter. And together we will guide you through another exciting episode of The Breakthrough.
That's right, we are your home for indie artists of entertainment.
Yes, this is one of the few places where indie artists of all genres are highlighted.
Yep, and guess what? We're back in LA where The Breakthrough started.
That's right. Last season, we not only interviewed indie artists in the studio, but when we were in the streets, we also came across a lot of great talent and artists all around.
Yeah, LA is that type of place.
Yes.
You can be in the grocery store shopping next to some of the biggest people and you wouldn't even know it.
That is a fact. You know, Hollywood is the biggest entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah, and Atlanta is making its mark too.
Facts. That's why we will be in Atlanta again this season. We haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Exactly. I cannot wait. But right now, we're going to enjoy this California sunshine
Yes.
and the endless opportunities to enjoy indie talent.
Yes. And I was just reflecting, you and I both were childhood actors. You know, Los Angeles is definitely an area that supports children working in entertainment.
Yeah, I agree. I do have some mixed feelings about children and actors in entertainment and stuff like that.
Same. If it's what the child wants, I say go for it. But sometimes parents push way too hard.
Well, are they pushing it on their child or are they supporting their child's natural gifts?
Well, let's hope it's the latter.
Yes, I hope so. Well, here's one independent artist in LA who is happy her musical gift was supported. Jensen McRae. She started studying piano at the age of 7. She attended a Grammy camp and she went to USC on a full-ride scholarship to study music.
That definitely sounds like a LA born and raised artist.
She's from Santa Monica.
Oh.
She happens to be Black and Jewish descent. She's often compared to people like Tracy Chapman, who sings folk music.
I wonder what genre she considers her music to fall under.
I just know that she doesn't want to be pigeonholed.
No real indie artist really does. That is a big reason why we stay independent.
Exactly, and Jensen is an independent artist who is on the rise. She has an Instagram following about 37,000. That's pretty good.
That is.
And she's performing all across the country. She's definitely someone to watch.
And we are watching. Another indie artist to follow in Los Angeles is a comedian, London Hughes.
Ooh, making it as a comedian is so tough. I give y'all props, okay? Yeah, and it's even harder to be a female comic.
I definitely know that. R.I.P. to my uncle Ricky Harris. Definitely one of the best comedic actors and producers who I know always had to continually prove himself.
Oh, I love that. So what's London Hughes' story?
London was actually born in England.
Ooh.
She filmed a Netflix special in 2020, and you can still catch her performing locally in Los Angeles.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to check out that special. Okay, Netflix special at that. Does she speak with an English accent still?
Yes, and it's something to hear her tell her comedic stories with her accent. It definitely works for her.
Okay, I'm taking notes. I don't have an English accent, but it'd be dope to have one, you know? I need some laughter in my life.
That's funny. I am definitely ready for a good laugh as well, too. Much needed. I haven't really watched live comedy since my uncle passed, to be honest. It's time to get my laugh on.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. I love going to comedy shows. That's like my favorite. But it's settled. The Breakthrough cast is gonna go up and go to a stand-up comedy show.
Okay, bet. It's on. So what other independent artists have caught your eye?
Well, I was gonna say Callum for real, but found out he actually signed last year in 2021.
You are definitely right about that. And, you know, sometimes artists independently need that extra label push because of the resources,
Right.
you know. But I feel like he might end up coming back around to the independent realm.
Yeah.
He's done.
Why do you think that though?
Because I feel like he got shelved
Ooh.
since he got signed,
Okay.
you know, and I feel like with him and how much of an impact he had in the Los Angeles community with that, I feel like it kind of, they shunned his light a little bit,
Okay.
you know, and that's what
I
happened.
feel that because when he first like came out, I knew like all his songs pretty well. Like there was some that I still play to this day. But then like now the past like year or two, I really haven't heard too much about him. So I can kind of see what you mean by like shelved a bit. But hopefully he comes back out popping.
Yes, and that's what happens sometimes when you sign to a label. You might think it's all, you know, glitz and glamour, but then you get put on the back burner because there is another artist that is, yes. So it's like you gotta,
Yeah.
and then that's the ego thing you gotta deal with. But when you're dealing with independent and you stay with yourself, you ain't gotta worry about nobody else's ego but your own.
Right.
You know, you're gonna please yourself.
Okay, so let's talk about Dom Kennedy because he's technically an independent artist, right?
Yes, he is. He actually independent, then got signed, and then independent again with his own company. He has the Other People's Money company. And I feel like Dom Kennedy is a great legend to look up as far as the Leimert Park area, Los Angeles area. He has done it independently all throughout his career.
Wow.
A great, for sure.
Amazing, amazing. All right, well, there you have it, guys. We're going to go hit the streets, but don't forget to follow us on Instagram at
The Breakthrough 2019, because that's when we started in 2019.
So let's go break through.
Let's get it.
What's good, everyone? It's Billionaire Carter out here with The Breakthrough, Season 2, live in the streets at Leimert Park. Once again, this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, indie hubs in the world as far as melanated people. I swear, this culture out here is no other. Like no other. Let me tell you it again, it is like no other. The vibe and the energy that you feel from out here is impeccable. It just flows through my veins. Because I've been here since a child, and I'm telling you, it's been the same energy since day one. Come on, let's take a trip. We are here at Hot and Cool, one of the premier spots to get a nice smoothie and some nice lentil soup, some good eats and some good vibes, good music. Might catch up, you know, somebody you might not even know was in here. But basically, man, Hot and Cool has been around for the longest, and they actually now they own this place. Instead of renting, they own it now. Melanated owning, man, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, blessing, blessing.
Time to live your life like the hot
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Billionaire Carter with my co-host,
What's up, Bobby Brown?
and we are here with the Breakthrough Season 2 in-depth interview, and we have a special treat again for y'all. We have Rhys Langston. Thank you, brother, for joining us. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you for your
having me.
time, Langston.
Man.
Mr. Langston.
Exactly. So, how did you get started with your artistry? You're also a rapper, and you paint as well and things like that as well too.
Yes, that's
Yeah, so he got a man of many gifts. So, how did you start being an artist? When did that start?
I mean, it might sound cliche, but really from the jump, from the time I was born, I think I was ushered into that. I come from, two parents who had a career in the arts themselves, have careers, I guess you could say, maybe. They were like working artists, working actors, nothing too fancy, but they paid the bills with their art. And I think they broke a lot of cycles on their end in terms of their parents maybe and things around them not supporting them. So they just gave me from the jump tools and introduced me to a lot of different things and just opened the possibility. And I didn't really gravitate towards everything immediately, but because I had that point of entry, when I decided to make music, it wasn't completely foreign and it wasn't discouraged. When I took seriously visual art, I had already had the privilege of being in private art lessons that my mom paid for, with her, dry cleaning job at the time.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Parents sacrifice.
there's just a lot of things like that, and the path has been very narrow and winding. I mean, not the path has been sometimes been narrow, sometimes winding. Sometimes I had to just look at, if you want to think about that metaphor, look at like a whole expanse and try and figure out a direction to go. So yeah, that's the point. I guess I would really say I decided to have a focused intention about things when I was 18. I was one of those kids who were on the cusp, so I started school a little bit later when I was started kindergarten at 6. So I was 18 during my senior year of high school. And I really, a lot of things happened. I quit playing basketball competitively. I was like, I'm not going to do that. It's too much time. Yeah, and then I just, I went into the trying to express myself. There was a lot that I was bearing that I couldn't let out.
Well, Rhys, it sounds like you have a really strong foundation, parents that support you, which is great. So how has LA, the area, I know you're born and raised, how has the area really helped your gifts and helped your art?
Yeah, definitely, I've lived in many different parts of LA. Growing up, I grew up in a part of town that doesn't really exist the same way it did. I grew up in my first few years were in Silver Lake back when it was really like a hidden gem, still affordable. And now it's like the place where you go, oh, you from Silver Lake? You're bougie or whatever, but it wasn't like that. It was very much so still, livable. And it was cool that was just a place where there's a lot of community, a lot of different kinds of people I got to be acquainted with and know. And then, my parents separated, but, I lived in many different locations with them each. And I think probably the other part of LA that really influenced me the most would be like the Leimert Park area.
Yes.
I moved there when I was about 15. And I'm still in that area more or less.
Nice.
But I didn't even realize the legacy of
Yes.
art, black art, hip hop, jazz, just a general cultural hub that it was until I really kind of looked up one day in my late teens. I was like, oh, this has been around me the whole time.
Yes.
I'm kind of doing things like this. I think it was just something in the air that I felt lucky to have been able to, was able to like latch onto and feel the frequency that way. So LA, I've seen really, the LA basin. I've been around many parts, but
You mentioned jazz. Do you play any instruments? And
I
types of
had some early
attempts by my parents to teach me formal music, I didn't really resonate with that. It's just too. I just couldn't play
Same.
play hot cross buns enough on the bass guitar. You know? It's just not my thing. So but as I said before, you know, when we first talked about the starting out as an artist, I because I had that initial point of activation when I decided later to play instruments, I just began to be like a self-taught. You know, I was self-taught, so I started with the bass, then I went to the guitar and then piano. I don't play that well, but you know, I can play things to get my desired composition out and
Nice.
desired feel. So I do play a few
It's a
different
great
instruments.
outlet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how important is it to be independent?
Being independent, I think, is extremely valuable. One, because I think even in the best case scenario, when you answer to a committee, sometimes, you know, you have to censor yourself and curtail things and cut things off. And sometimes, you know, that is for the best interest of trying to get more people involved. But sometimes, you know, the message and the more transformative, radical parts of the message can be cut out that way. So being able to command your own presence, have your own voice, and be able to kind of have that mechanism of being independent, I think it's super important. You know, also just it allows you to do things differently. I think
Okay.
the industries and the powers that have the ability to distribute art, you know, and music, they don't always see the value in a different perspective,
Yeah.
and not just a different perspective, but a perspective that might get people to believe in their intelligence more.
I
I
love
think being independent, you can, you know, not sell people short
Yes.
by giving
Right.
them the uncut.
Yeah, I love
You
that,
know?
Rhys. You're
Yes.
staying true to yourself, staying authentic.
Yeah.
What would you say right now is your greatest accomplishment up to date?
Well, I'd say there's two versions. One's abstract. One's that I'm making. I feel like I am measuring my progress by the fact that I feel I'm getting better every day. That's a major accomplishment, getting to that point where I feel that. But the second, more concrete one is probably the Metro poem that I put out and is yet to be released in the full 60 second version. Where I got my friend to play like violin and a string accompaniment to the composition I made. So that's cool. That's definitely feels like I'm doing the art outside of I'm doing art for something outside of myself inherently because it's a public service. You know, it's like that's kind of cool.
And then it's also a blessing to be able to get your flowers and your roses as well too while you hear, you know,
Yeah.
my work is being seen, you know, those things for us independent artists, we need those, you know, the things to keep us going. You know, that's a blessing, bro.
100%.
Proud of you, man. Definitely proud of you. Question, brother. How do you know when you break through?
That's a very good question. I've been asking myself that a lot because I think as an independent artist, you don't have the typical progress markers sometimes. It can feel like pushing a boulder up the hill, like Sisyphus, you know, just keep doing that. And I'm getting to my answer, so excuse me for being winding with this, but I think I had to question myself recently because I got so used to the feeling of things not working out that I had to ask myself, are you ready for when it flips though? So I've been pushing on that, right? Like when this flips, will you be ready to recognize it and not just be like, well, it's still not happening the way I think it is. I think the breakthrough happens in many moments. I still feel even with the progress I've had, I take steps back, steps forward. I think it's when it feels a little bit like things are moving without you having to move them as much. Opportunity like this to speak about myself. Someone put my name in the ring for this, name in the hat for this. So that feels like a bit of a push, a momentum, inertia, if you will.
This is the breakthrough.
Yeah.
Right. Breaking through.
So I think it does come. It comes from within and from without. You do have to recognize when the steam rolling, but you also got to get the engine going on that. And
Got to.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. But
No, it
Yeah,
does. It does.
100%. Just curious if you had any advice for any independent artists. What tips can you give?
I would say balance obsession with detachment. I think that's how you root out perfectionism. For me, I spend a lot of time working on something, and I really know it's important. So it's I think it's very valuable. I think we all want to present ourselves in the best way possible. I'm speaking in terms of the craft. I can't speak for business advice. In the craft, being able to really work on something intensely, step away, completely forget about it, and do it again. I think that roots out perfectionism because you can approach things differently. So anyone who works on, it's even like a business plan. If that's a level of drafting something up, you got to step away,
Yes.
detach yourself, and then the obsessiveness that comes, which is detail-oriented meticulousness, it'll be all the more effective.
I think you need to say that phrase one more time for the audience.
Anyone who didn't get that.
Because you dropped the gems. I need you to just say that. The first you said the balance, and I need you to say it again one more time for the camera, bro. What'd you say?
Oh, something about I think balancing a level of detachment, stepping away from something, with eventually coming back and obsessing over it and looking at the details, combing through it, being meticulous, is a very important thing to disposition to have as an artist.
Yes.
I would say. Yeah.
Free game.
Free, man. That's why I was like, yeah, you got to run that back because it's and it is for business as well too. Like like you were saying, it really is. You got to have that balance because we obsess because we want things to happen. With what we want. As our craft or art, what do we ever put our passion into? So we do obsess. I'm obsessive in that way too. You got to detach. You have to for yourself, your mental.
Exactly. Yeah. It works in many ways. It's just like it's well-being, but it's also for the actual thing you're working on.
Facts.
Yeah.
So Langston, what is your idea of success and what are you going to do with your success when you touch that realm?
I think my idea of success is informed by growing up with parents who were working actors, working artists. So being able to support myself with minimal stress solely off my art would be successful. Being able to reach people and feel like, yeah, the message is getting to people, even if that's only 10,000 people, 5,000 people. It's getting effectively there. What I would do when I reach that, I think I would get a little. Then I think I would get a little bit more ambitious to a little more lofty in my goals, which is I definitely want to redefine what people think is accessible. I think sometimes we define accessibility as lowest common denominator, facile, easy, smooth brain, whatever. But I think that there's a lot of ways in which, people can reach a little bit more and you can give something that's aesthetically pleasing, has value, and also maybe gets people to like scratch their head a little bit in a good way.
Make them think.
So I think when I reach that, I would like to go more towards that goal of maybe changing the orientation of how the average person thinks about art and ideas.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
It has been a powerful, in-depth interview, man, to know that this young man is where he's at and the enlightenment you've brought me and Bobby, man, it's a blessing, man. Thank you so much, bro, for your time. Mr. Rhys Langston, an artist, entrepreneur, man, activist. I see it all, man. Appreciate you for your time. We're actually gonna put Langston's Instagram, all his social media handles in the description. So don't even worry about saying that, brother. We gonna save you some time to break through while you're breaking through, brother.
Yeah.
And once again, I am Billionaire Carter with my co-host.
Bobby Brown, let's get it.
Let's get it. Until next time,
Breakthrough.